afternoon and welcome to another installment of Science and Society. Today we're talking about space travel. Space travel has shaped an entire era of mankind. The moment where man set foot on the moon is one of the biggest moments in human history. And an entire generation, or maybe even two, of people grew up dreaming of space colonies or fearing alien invasions. This may all well be behind us mostly, but the space travel is still continuing as a research domain, and it is actually one that a lot of money gets spent in. So today we're discussing about space travel and how this money particularly is spent in what kind of research. With us we have NASA consultants of the unmanned missions, Maria Elena Dimitriou and Lucia Protopapa. And we have from the Cyprus Space Agency, Dr. Nikos Konstantinou and Stelios Andreou. Now, before we begin, I am going to ask our audience to vote what their thoughts are. Are our money spent better on manned flights or unmanned flights? And we'll see how these thoughts evolve later on. Who votes for manned flights, please? 2. And who votes for unmanned flights? 4. So we have 2 for manned and 4 for unmanned. And since you have the list of the votes, let's start with you. Well, what are the advantages of manned flights, and try to convince people that manned flights are better?
Well, thanks for the invitation. It's great to be here. First of all, if we agree that space missions are important, and if we also agree that we need a lot of money to do these missions, we have to go for the option that gives us the more money, right? Gives us more funding. Now, I think that doing one mission.
Excuse me,
sure, yeah.
I think you need to rephrase that because I don't exactly get it, and I don't think anybody else did. What do you mean, the option that gives us the most money?
If you let me finish, I'll explain it in a second. So, basically, if we go for manned missions, I think that engages the public more. What does this mean? It means that politicians are more likely to provide funding for something that is appealing to their voters, and it also means a lot of other things, like people are more likely to learn about the results, people are more likely to become scientists after we finish. So the key point here is which of the two options gives us more funding, and it's clear to me that manned missions give us more funding because it's more engaging to the public.
So funding comes directly from the politicians?
Directly from politicians. Politicians vote how to distribute government money, and these are the ones who make decisions, and unfortunately in some cases they make decisions based on what voters think, and because voters are more likely to be engaged in something that involves human people stepping out of a spaceship, doing the first step on the moon, this is much more appealing to voters. So politicians are more likely to direct the money.
Let me remind you
sure, yeah.
that I gave you first the opportunity to talk because you were outvoted by 2 to 1.
Sure, yeah.
So
and that's what I'm
at
trying
least
to do.
our small sample of public is not for the manned flights, and at least from our small sample, the argument that it's more appealing to the crowd does not very well. Besides, if you're looking for more money, maybe your opponents could say that we don't even need the more money. What did you say?
Well, actually, let me address the whole dragging the audience into the funding. What do you remember more? Do you remember the image of an astronaut that has been to space recently, or do you remember all the articles and pictures of Curiosity on Mars? Do you see do you realize what I'm saying? You don't need to put a face on the flight. You just need to make the person feel it, and sending an unmanned machine, a device, an equipment that can give you results and images directly. You don't need a face. You just need to allow everybody to see what's there and make them feel part of it. You don't need a face. You need to make the audience be part of it.
Well, the curiosity mission is probably very interesting and one of very big step in science, but I think we're all going to agree that probably the most famous phrase in the history of science, human science, is what Neil Armstrong said when he stepped out of his spaceship. A small step for man, a huge step for mankind.
I am going to have to intervene a little
Sure.
bit at this point. This has been indeed one of the most memorable moments in history, and I mentioned that at the beginning as well. But this step for mankind,
You're taking sides, I think.
this step for mankind has already been made. And what I wanted to talk about here was not about public views, which you have both debated so far, but what I mostly wanted to talk about was, is our money better spent, scientifically speaking, because I do not believe that science should be done for politics. Okay? Science should be done to promote our knowledge.
Absolutely.
And serve our needs. So, yes, there are important political or societal factors coming in, I agree, but these are more like what's hindering research, or rather what we should be aiming to satisfy. So what I want you mostly to talk about is what manned and unmanned missions have to
Is this a
offer.
question you're asking now?
Yes, I
Because
am
I
asking.
get the feeling
What
that
do they offer versus what they require?
I get the feeling we're 2 against 3. That's the feeling I get. You're taking
I
sides.
get the
Let me
feeling
finish,
that I'm guiding the discussion
I would
to a subject that is in your favor.
I would appreciate it if you let me finish. So the key question here is how, if we agree that money is important, the key question becomes, and if we also agree that this type of research is important and we want to spend money on, then the key question becomes, which of the 2 type of missions makes it more likely to get the money we need? And clearly, because it engages people more, it makes it more likely to get funding from politicians for this type of missions. So, through engaging public, we get more money, we get more research, we get more missions, we get the public more engaged, and so on and so forth.
Okay, let me rephrase. I believe that manned flights have the ability to give us extra data that unmanned flights cannot. And the money you are going to get more is going to be taken away from some other kind of research. What I want you to mostly talk to me about is how manned flights can give us info that unmanned flights cannot. Not politics. We're a science show.
Can I talk? Because you're talking
Yes.
all I would like to put this on a different perspective. We're talking about science, and science is based on logic. And now we'll talk about logic. The reason that we said robots at the whole universe, not only Mars, is to see not the surface, not the marsh, but if that planet is capable for human life.
Among other things, yes.
Among other things. But basically for that. It's not just to discover Mars. What the reason to know, for me to know what is Mars, I know it's just a planet that is spinning around. So, we send those robots there just to see if it's capable for human lives. But these have a basic problem. We're not sending humans, we're sending robots. So, by manned traveling, we can see how human body react on that.
You mean using the astronauts as guinea pigs?
Yeah. Let me ask you something. if you come to the point that the Earth is going to disrupt, it's going to destroy, and you're going to lose the whole human race.
Yes. I hope we're not reaching that point yet.
Yeah. But if, there's one if.
We only have 2 minutes, so please.
It's best to know that humans are able to live in another planet instead of robots. Because if human cannot live on other planets, neither can robots.
Give me one brief example of something, of some data that a manned flight can produce and an unmanned flight could not produce, other than throwing the astronaut there. Or problems that could occur and could be resolved better.
We know now that a human living in space will surely have problems with all the skeletons, because there are less gravity, and this is a problem for humans. And,
very well.
And we try to solve this problem now.
So space travel itself requires somebody to travel.
It's also
and
less
what
expensive.
do you think?
It's also much less expensive because
I only have 1 minute.
Sure, yeah, be really quick. If you have a human there, something goes wrong, they can fix it, they can save the whole project.
Excellent.
So they can make it much less expensive than an unmanned flight.
But what can unmanned flight offer to us that manned flight cannot?
May I just counteract my opponent's arguments? I'd like to add that whatever you have suggested on sending a manned flight and basically having humans as guinea pigs, it would jeopardize their health and it goes against the human rights constitution.
I think he kind of made this better a bit later, yeah?
Yes, but still, it would be a lot better if we could just make sure before we can send the manned flights, and also that will require a lot of money spent on medical tests before and after and during.
So
we're
we
out.
can get a preliminary.
No, we're out. We've finished the programme. It's finished.
Never got the chance.
Okay.
I know you didn't get a chance to speak. They didn't get a chance to vote. We may as well have a vote anyway, though, just for fun.